I'll start and we'll introduce ourselves clockwise here. I'm Dennis Seeley. I'm the NAC chair.
All of our screens might be a little in a little bit different order, Dennis.
Oh, okay.
But since
So
I'm
we'll go
talking,
to THPRD.
yeah, Lori Leach with 12th and Hills Park and Rec.
Okay. Erik?
Erik Lehr, board member and BCCI rep.
Okay. Ronald? No
I'm a
connection.
homeowner.
Okay, thank you. Erin?
Erin Hatch, I'm a recorder.
David? Great audio. Leanne?
I'm Leann Larsen, and I am on the school board.
Good. Norma?
I'm Norma Greger, and I'm the HOA president for Muirwood Neighborhood.
Okay. So,
And I'm Miles Glowacki with the city of
oh yeah,
Beaverton.
don't forget our leader.
I'm not your leader.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's start out with Tualatin Hills Park and Rec.
Okay, great. So, again, we're learning to be nimble and pivot and working on our programming. Right now, we've got out of school program, which is program for school age kids. They can get basically daycare, but also some help with their schoolwork. That's at Cedar Hills and Conestoga. We do have spots available for that, and the recently announced Beaverton School District CARES funds can be used for that tuition, which is a bonus. There's also preschool programs going. They're full at this moment, but we are accepting applications and developing a wait list to determine if we can expand that program. Few trails updates. The new Bethany Creek Trail is open and connects Rock Creek and West Side Trails to Northwest Springville. So THPRD and Clean Water Services are working on stream enhancement and bridge replacement at Fano Creek Greenway, and the new bridge will be installed this month. Expansion of off-leash spaces, the off-leash dog spaces. So staff will be installing temporary pop-up dog runs at Ridgewood Park from November 4th to the 20th. And then on November 14th, we'll be hosting a dog-themed event. Staff and volunteers will also be gathering feedback to determine if the dog run should become a more permanent feature at that park. Volunteer opportunities. Over the past month, there have been 21 volunteers who've contributed 60 hours to weeding, mulching, and winterizing the community gardens. These projects are a great opportunity for quarantining families and neighbors to socialize in a safe, distant outdoor environment while giving back to the community. There's going to be more projects scheduled, and there's information on the volunteer page on the website. You might have heard of Talking Walls. There was a Talking Wall project that was started at Sunset Park in cooperation with Black Student Union from Sunset High School and Color Outside the Lines. There's going to be a second Talking Walls mural that will be installed at Greenway Park on November 15th, and that will be with participation from the Native American Youth and Family Center. The staff are currently working on winterizing. We already had a little hint of that. So they're working on, cleaning gutters, roofs, downspouts, the usual that they work on that, as well as any air vents and repairing windows and door seals, that kind of thing, just to make sure that everything is prepped for the winter months. Tree management. So with the really hot, dry summer and the recent windstorm, staff are paying much more attention to the health of the trees. So they're taking extra time and looking, inspecting the trees and natural areas, making sure that there aren't any trees that need to be limbed or are in danger of maybe coming down in a windstorm. We've also had quite a few responses from neighbors and inquiries about trees that are adjacent to their property. So we're looking into that as well. There is a cedar mill Cedar Mill Creek Sewer Project that is going to be taking place. Pre-construction will start this winter, but that is, it has an impact on the Tualatin Hills Nature Park. And so their staff are working with Clean Water Services to plan for safe visits and selecting a contractor, and then also looking at minimizing the environmental impact with that project. The financial aid program is still available with THPRD. So households whose income falls below the federal free meal guidelines are eligible to receive up to $200 per person per year of financial aid for our programs. West Side Trail Bridge. So THPRD is expanding the development of a pedestrian bicycle bridge over Highway 26 to link the West Side Trail from Southwest Greenbrier Parkway, excuse me, to the north side of 26. And during this phase of the project, which is 2021, THPRD will study the practicality of constructing the bridge. And to learn more about that, visit the website, and you'll be looking for Parks in Progress, West Side Trail Bridge. If you're interested in volleyball, adult volleyball leagues have started. The Athletic Center has a league that consists of over 40 teams that play Monday through Thursday evenings. And in aquatics, we've added, in addition to our lap swims, we have water fitness classes at both Conestoga and the Aquatic Center. And those are all available by reservation online. So anybody have any questions? Okay, I didn't quite get that.
He's huffing helium.
Yeah. Maybe,
Type it
David, maybe
into the
put it in the
chat.
chat.
While he's doing that, I'll ask the same one I asked a couple months ago, if they have anything in the works for family swims or for kids swimming
Yeah,
lessons.
we're still, we've got teams working on both of those things, family type household swims and different variations of lessons. With the numbers kind of happening and things going, we're just kind of taking it slow. But we do have plans in place once that we are comfortable moving forward with that. So we are working on it. We would love to be more open and have more opportunities, but we just have to be very, very conservative in how we proceed. So
Thank you.
Yep. Great questions. Anybody else?
No, so let's move
I can
on.
hear you.
The police aren't here, so
Okay.
we'll jump down to any city updates.
Okay, I'm going to excuse myself because I have another meeting, but good to see everybody.
Okay, be safe.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Yeah, a few updates from the city. We've extended the remote, virtual, and on-site services through at least December 31st in response to the continued fluctuations of COVID-19 cases. Passports are open for in-person visits by appointment, and some court and library services are also open with distancing and other safeguards in place. If you need any assistance from City Hall, you can always just email me and I will get you to the right person. Otherwise, you can visit beavertonoregon.gov/coronavirus, and that has all the information about closures and how to get services from the city. The library continues BCL to go. It is a hold pickup service at both locations. Both drop boxes are open also. While the library buildings remain closed, library card holders can make an appointment or drop in for BCL to go service by walk up, both locations, and drive up at the main library only. The website for that is beavertonlibrary.org, BCL to go. There's also a computer lab at the main library, Tuesdays 10 to 2 and Wednesdays 3 to 7. The library is offering wireless printing as well. There's information on the library website. So you can print from anywhere over the internet to the library and pick up your copies there. And there is utility bill assistance still available for qualified Washington County residents who've been impacted by COVID-19. You can get help paying water, sewer, waste collection, and other utility balances from March 1st through December 30th. So if you're behind, even by quite a few months, all the way back to March, you can still get help. It's through community action, the local cities, and the utilities. If you visit www.caowash.org, that's where the portal to start looking for assistance. And there's still housing and emergency rent assistance ongoing. Nearly $700,000 has already been deployed through partner agencies, and there's another $300,000 remaining available for low-income residents. And those are all the updates I have.
Any questions for Miles? Okay. Ms. Larsen, the school
Well,
board.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. I wasn't sure exactly what you'd like to hear, but I can tell you what has become kind of on the front burner of school business right now. Of course, it has to do with how we teach our kids, and we're in the distance learning right now. We had gotten some direction from the governor to try to get into some limited in-person instruction as of February 1st, but that may now be changing because that came out last Friday, and with the tighter restrictions, that may not be allowable. We're waiting to see where Washington County pans out in that. It would not be for everybody because we would still have to live within the restrictions of how many in a cohort can be together. They'd have to mask, be 6 feet apart, cohorts of 20. But we're most concerned about our ELL students that are learning a second language, and also our special needs students, trying to help get them back in as well. So, you know, of course, we would love to have all the kids back, but we're waiting. And basically, Beaverton has taken the tack to follow the governor pretty strictly. We're also, we'd opened up just on Monday for athletic practices on limited, some of the limited sports. I don't know what will happen now with the tighter restrictions, but as of Monday, some of the high school sports were starting to gather at the fields and do some practicing. We are in the middle of middle school rebounding. I believe the superintendent has just come out with the recommendation that came out of a subcommittee that's been meeting for about 1.5 years. And they just put their recommendation into the superintendent, and he is passing it on to the board, I believe, in our meeting on Monday night. We're also exploring the use of SROs and how that will be used in the future. Most of our SROs are purchased and paid for by the local police and sheriff departments. I believe we have 1 or 2 in the district that we actually pay for. So it doesn't really cost us very much money, but there is a concern about the SROs and their roles. And so we did some surveying, and we're going to have some reports coming to us, I think, in our next work session to just discuss that whole issue. We continue to offer food services to myriads of families, not only breakfast and lunches, but also dinners. They've been packaging them, and those are found throughout the districts, usually being distributed at various schools. And with that, that's pretty much it. Miles asked about the budget a little bit, and right now the legislature went ahead and funded us fully as we were anticipating, because we're in the second year of funding from a 2-year biennium. And because the state revenues were down, we weren't sure she would do that. She did do that. And because we really didn't have much instruction last year, and for a lot of reasons, we were able to do a lot of savings. So our budget right now looks really good. We do not anticipate it will stay that way. I think we have a 50 million surplus. We're required to have by our board policy at least 25 million based off the percentage. But we do not anticipate that we will be able to continue to carry that. There's a couple of factors. Some of this distant learning is more expensive than the normal way we did schools, with having to provide hotspots, and there's a lot of things that go into that. We're in a bargaining year with our union, our teachers. So there's a lot of unknowns out there. The legislature will go back into session hopefully in February, and we'll know more then. We were hoping to get, if you remember, about 1.5 years ago, the governor signed into law corporate activities tax that was going to come and be a huge funder for the schools. That is not panned out. I think we have less than 1/4 maybe of what we were anticipating to help with mental health needs. And we did a lot of community groups to figure out how to spend that money. And it just hasn't come to fruition because the pandemic hit. So it looks like we'll be back at the drawing board for still asking for funding at the legislature this spring and winter. So happy to take any questions.
Where do you get the word on, any changes, in like your opening times and things like that? What bureau gives you the information?
The governor directly, or the Oregon Department of Education. Colt Gill is their, leads them, and they're the ones that filter it down. They meet, our superintendent meets with a group of superintendents every week, and then they're larger, all the superintendents in the state are getting together via Zoom about once a month. But it's coming down from the governor and the Oregon Department of Education.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Leanne, I know there were a couple people in my neighborhood who were following the boundary change process.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to observe that meeting, I'm assuming if they just go on the Beaverton School District website, there should be some kind of a link.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And I believe last week, the superintendent took open testimony. I think it was last Thursday, but I'm not positive. But if they would like to give comment on that, they can always send an email as well directly to the superintendent.
Okay.
And he will take all of that into consideration as he's making that recommendation, or they can come and testify. The way we're taking testimony right now is via email, and it gets sent to us the day of the meeting, which I believe is Monday. So they'll want to send it like by Friday,
Right.
but we'll get it that way as well.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
You bet.
Any more questions?
I'll ask a question just for a little bit. I have 5 kids, 5 little ones. So I'm a little bit more curious about the details of coming back in person. We have a lot of family in other states who I think we're one of the few states that isn't doing any in-person school. So I understand the implications and everything, but I'm just curious for a few more details on how soon you predict kids will be back in the classrooms and how likely you think that is, and maybe reasonings of why they wouldn't be back in the classrooms, and just more details, anything that you're willing and able to share with us. I would just like to know.
Well, great question. It would all be conjecture on my part at this point. Again, the governor's very anxious, especially the pre-K through middle school. She would love to get those students back into school. The last, I was on a Zoom call with her 2 weeks ago as she was going to lay out the plan, and they were hoping for cohorts of 20 to maybe 25 at the most. So the classrooms would be potentially smaller than what they've been in the past, but everybody would have to stay masked and everybody would have to have their desks 6 feet apart, and they would stay with that cohort all day. So lunch and that sort of thing, recess, would all be done just in your own cohort so that you aren't crossing over. And if one person in that cohort came down with COVID, the whole cohort goes into quarantine for 2 weeks and goes back to homeschool rather than in-person instruction. But I don't know, honestly, what that's going to look like now that she's instituting stricter restrictions tomorrow for 2 weeks. If we can get our numbers down, I would, fingers crossed, February 1. But if we can't keep our numbers down, I don't know. Your guess will be as good as mine, unfortunately. We all want our kiddos back in school, but we want it. The reason the governor, she was taking some heat about why is she opening now when our numbers are starting to spike. But with doing research across the country, they're finding that schools are not super spreaders. It's the private gatherings that we are doing just on our own. Those are what are super spreaders more so than anything, according to the research that they did. I can't verify it. I didn't look at it, but I think they looked at Rhode Island and a Midwestern school, bunch of districts as well. So anyway, we're working hard to get them back in. We know that's going to be best for them. I also had 5 kids. I can't imagine what your job would be like. Mine are grown, but hats off to you because I know it's tough going right now.
Definitely. But we appreciate all that you're doing, and I know everyone's doing the best they can do, and I'm assuming they're all making decisions in everyone's best interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Leanne, do you know, are enrollment numbers steady from last year, up or down?
They're down. They're down about 1,600 students, which is a significant financial hit to the district, of course. And they've been tracked as best we can because people don't have to tell us where they go. But if I remember right, about 200 to 300 of those chose homeschool completely, and the rest of them went off to online schools. So there are quite a bit of options out there for them. We did open an online school called Flex Online, but though that 1,600 are not the part of the ones that went to Flex Online. They went to online schools that are outside of our district. Any other questions?
No?
Was that mostly at the higher grade levels? I imagine high school, or was it?
Honestly, it was spread across. It's been about 8 weeks since I saw the data, but I think it was spread across all grade levels.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and down here, Erik, do you have a report for us?
I'm going to take off. I have another meeting to go to, so my apologies, but thank you for having me.
Take
Thank you,
care, be
Leann.
safe.
Yeah, not a whole lot of new stuff from BCCI this last week. Most of the things we did were more internal. One of the things I brought up last week, how we are looking to put together some resources for the various NACs on how to approach developers, development requests. So that's something we're moving forward with as a committee. We're having some subcommittee meetings, and we're looking to get some resources that would be available on the both on the city website, and it would be sent out to all the various NACs as well. Just sort of, here's a toolkit if there's going to be development in your NAC. Here's how you contact people. Here's how you let your neighborhood know. Here's potential responses you might have if people don't want that to be built, so on and so forth. So look for that in the hopefully near future. Other than that, nothing to report. And also our meeting next month or later this month was canceled, so we won't have anything next month either.
Okay. Hey, Eric, you mentioned at our last meeting that you might have an idea for someone that might want to make a presentation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I had referenced Rob Zeller, and I think Miles said that it would be somebody else in the department, but
Okay.
to come and talk about the HB 101 or whatever that the House bill is that talks about zoning standards for different lot types, different properties that Oregon recently passed. Because the city is still sort of in a wait and see mode to see what guidelines the state rolls out, and they'll go from there. But I think it would be good to have somebody from the city come and at least describe the preliminary potential outcomes. So Miles, do you remember who that was that you had mentioned?
Yeah, it's Brian Martin, the long range planning manager. I believe he's confirmed. I was just looking for the email to make sure, not speaking out of turn. But if my memory serves correctly, he's confirmed for your December meeting.
Excellent. Thank you, Miles.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, I mean, that's going to be a big change for Oregon and for neighborhoods and what neighborhoods look like, depending on the neighborhood. I think some things that might be surprising are the required parking spots that are going to be required or not required. So if a single family lot is divided in a duplex or a triplex or quadplex goes on, the number of parking spaces doesn't necessarily keep going up. And also the ADUs, how many ADUs you could have on a piece of property isn't exactly clear from the rules yet. So something to be mindful of. And just, yeah, Brian and Rob will have more information. Brian, the planning manager, has been on the rulemaking committee for the state, trying to represent Beaverton's interests. So he's very knowledgeable.
Great. That's all I had.
Okay. How about any NAC business for the NAC that anyone wants to mention?
I'll mention Highland on Saturday did a free shredding event for their neighborhood, and it went really well. Had about 120 cars, nearly filled up the shredding truck. Lots of older people bringing in boxes, and they also did a food drive with it and collected quite a bit of food, about a truckload of food for 2 local pantries. It was pretty easy to put together. It was funded through a matching grant. So I'm just letting all the NACs know about it. I think it was interesting to see the demographics of who came. I guess maybe young people don't use as much paper.
Or older people have just had more time to accumulate it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think with everybody clearing out their garages and closets during COVID, that
Nothing better to do.
Yeah. So it's good to get that stuff shredded and, safe and off the, whatever can happen when people get your information.
How does that happen if somebody wanted to coordinate that as one of those? What's the first step for that?
You would ask the NAC if they would support a matching grant for it, and the NAC board would vote. And then you write the grant proposal. It's very easy. Not a scary grant. I try to make it as easy as possible.
Is there a form or is it just something? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's online. You
Okay.
just fill it out. with your best estimates of what things are going to cost and how many volunteers you have. With COVID, the match part comes in. So if you spend $3,000, I'll write a check to the NAC for $3,000, and they need to show $3,000 worth of volunteer hours or in-kind donations.
Got it.
But because of COVID, we've relaxed that. If you don't have the match, we're not gonna not fund the project, because it's just not possible to get a lot of people together on a project
Yeah. Okay.
now.
Great.
So, and Norma, if that's something you're interested in, I'm happy to talk with you more about it.
We're actually having a board meeting on Thursday, so I might bring it up and just see what the interest is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, I've got a little at NAC Business or neighborhood business. We are all fighting the leaf situation. And I just got a thing about they're going to be accepting drop-off leaves, the city of Beaverton. I think it's a mini storage at 160th and Southwest Shaw. And they'll be doing it the next 3 weeks in November and then December 5th from 8 to 4. And they're asking for a food pantry donation, if possible. You probably know about that, Miles.
Yeah. It's actually at a city. There's a big city-owned parking lot next to TV Highway Canyon. That's Canyon. So it's just to the left of that storage area,
Okay.
place that you're thinking of. So just north of it, just squished in between Shaw Street and Canyon Road. And this year they're unable to help you unload, so you have to do your own unloading. And leaves can be bagged or unbagged. They prefer paper bags if you can, but if you bring plastic, you'll just have to cut them open and dump them out while you're there. And the city does it because so many leaves end up in the storm drains. They have to be vacuumed out. And it takes a lot of staff time and costs a lot of money to keep those drains clear so they don't flood neighborhoods.
I have a kind of a related question. Our neighborhood regularly pays for leaf removal all the way along where the new work was done on Walker Road and then up 173rd, about halfway up 173rd, about halfway to Five Oaks Middle School. And we pay for that even though it's not property that's really accessible to us. I think it's technically owned by those homeowners, but the developer put a fence there, and so that property, for all intents and purposes, is public property. Would that be something that we could get a grant for?
Maybe. I'd have to look into it. I'd have to look at the ownership of the property.
Okay.
The grants usually aren't for private, like to fund private things like that, but we can look at it. I don't want to say no off the bat.
Okay.
Yeah. That's nice. Your neighborhood takes care of the leaves.
Well, my concern more, I mean, there are also neighbors in the neighborhood who don't think that their dues should be going toward that, but that's a whole other ball of wax that gets to kind of land with me. So that's fine. The stretch I would be interested in getting a grant for would be the actual public stretch that when the county and the city got together and developed Walker Road there, they put up a sound wall, and that property no longer belongs to those property owners. But our neighborhood is actually paying to have that maintained now.
Okay.
So.
All right. My cat just stepped on my video. Yeah, I got to look at the ownership of the property. It might be ODOT owns the property now. And we'd have to get their permission, I guess. We can talk.
Yeah,
I'm going to
cool.
put my email in the chat, and so
Yeah.
you'll have it.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, I don't think we have a quorum. Do we need to address the previous minutes?
We've just had the videos being posted,
Okay.
so I haven't written up any minutes. I can. I've been taking notes, but Miles, if I remember right, that's just if we make any motions that we need to send those in.
Yeah. If you're making motions, we need to capture those in writing still, but just the general meeting information, the video suffices.
Okay, and I notice we don't have our treasurer here. So, David, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Let's see. Try
It's
one
not
more time.
Alvin and the Chipmunks. I think this is my favorite microphone error ever.
All being entertained by Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Mm-hmm.
We're glad you're here.
We missed you last month.
You could, David, you could type something in the chat.
If you go to more and then you click on chat,
Well, Norma and Ronald, thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again. And Norma, if you shoot me an email, we can talk more about
Yeah,
some
I'll do
projects.
that. Thank you, Miles. I appreciate that.
well, David's figuring that out. Maybe I saw on the agenda we had ideas for future meetings. Sorry, are you still getting to that, Dennis, or are you wrapping up? I just had an idea.
Well,
Sorry
actually,
for the crying
we
babies.
just have a speaker that Erik is and Miles are together on, and any other speakers or topics that we can put into future meetings is always welcome.
Miles, I'm guessing this might not be something you deal with, but 3 people from our neighborhood had started CERT training just as the pandemic broke loose. And I'm wondering, do you know anything about what their plans are for that? I mean, obviously it's probably just on hold indefinitely also.
Yeah. So that's a team of 2 people at the city, the emergency manager and Renata, the coordinator. They're pretty busy right now.
Okay, that was my question, because the irony for us was I was calling them and saying, don't you think we ought to cancel the meeting? Don't you think we ought to cancel the meeting? And they were like, well, this took us by surprise. So they did ultimately cancel the meeting, but it was too bad because they got one session in with all these people that they had signed up. So yeah.
Dennis, you're in CERT, aren't you? For years ago?
What's that?
I think Dennis and David both did CERT.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually it'll be back. It's a really popular program. I think they use some of the volunteers from CERT, some of the people who are already trained to do some stuff during the initial lockdown.
Cool. That's good to know.
Yeah. Same with the Beaverton, the police, not the police academy, but the police community academy was on hold too. Did you have an idea, Erin?
I was going to ask, have you ever had PGE come before? Or is that somebody who could come and speak potentially?
Yeah. What would you like them to speak about?
Probably the future of the energy sources. I don't really know a lot about that. I'm all about being environmentally friendly. I did
Yeah.
hear they recently from a neighbor, so I don't know how, this is just hearsay, but I think it's important just knowing what the neighbors are discussing, that they closed down the coal plant, and
Boardman, yeah.
people are afraid we're going to have a lot of rolling blackouts like in California. And I have neighbors who are putting in generators, and their electrician said he's been putting 4 of those in every week. And so people are kind of panicking and putting generators in their houses. So I wonder if it's something that people are thinking about. And I would be interested to see what their plan is to replace that so that we aren't left without power.
California has rolling blackouts because they have to shut it down for fire risks, not because they don't have enough power. So,
See, I don't know this stuff. That's why I thought it would be interesting to find out. And if I need to go get a generator, let me know, because we won't do well without power here, especially when we're trying to school.
I agree with Erin, though. I think that would be an interesting topic.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
Another idea along those lines, Miles, it'd be good to have somebody from the city come and talk about the climate action plan.
Okay.
Sort of what steps they plan to take for implementing that.
Okay. That might be like mid next year. They just got the analyst on board. We went through a couple of people who accepted the job and then took another job immediately, or not because they didn't like the city, but for whatever reason, before they really even started, they got multiple job offers. So he's really great. He just started maybe this month, maybe early last month. So I'll put that on the list and reach out to him and see when he would be prepared to do something.
Great, thank you.
And I think you're okay on the generator because PGE is a company, and if they can make money selling power, they're gonna make money selling power. And so if there's not power to sell, they're going to produce it to sell.
Yeah. We're also fortunate being up here in the Northwest that we have a ton of hydropower.
Mhm. And wind.
And wind, yeah. That's why we pay about half as much for power as what they do in California.
PGE also has a program now where you can tell them exactly where you want your power to come from, which is really interesting. That's something you can look on their website for, and it allows them to shift things around at high use times and that kind of thing. It's really interesting, but again, it's on their website.
Yeah, that would be an interesting topic, just to learn where they get their power from, and I'd be interested in that at least.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Maybe January. I'll see if I can get who I have contacts over there.
They had someone in the Fred Meyer parking lot one day trying to get people to sign up for that. That's how I know about it. So I'm sure they would be happy to send a representative to a meeting to let us all know about that particular program.
Yeah, they're doing another interesting program too, where it's called peak times, where they basically will pay you to cut your power use at really hot days. It's kind of a neat idea.
Yeah, I am signed up for that one. I've never gotten paid yet, though. With 5 kids, we are never successful.
I made $7 whole this summer.
Yeah.
It is a kind of a fun game to play, you know.
You turn the AC on until 4:59 and then shut it off and turn the lights off.
I made I made my dinner in advance. I did all this stuff just to see whether it would actually generate income, generate savings. $7.
Well, you make your dinner. Once it's all done, you turn the lights off, light the candles. Hey, it all works together.
Well, it was summer. It was, I had dinner outside. It was fine.
Yeah.
So when you have your next HOA meeting, tell everybody how much fun this group is and invite them to the next
I'll do
Next
it.
meeting.
I'm actually was here where we're starting to recruit for our board for next year. And we have a NAC representative that we count on who is not here this evening. So yeah, hopefully either that person or someone else will step up and be here regularly. But yeah, I've been involved in this off and on for a long time. I think David probably remembers when my husband and I were involved years ago. So. David, you know, now we're just trying to get you to talk because it's funny when your voice comes over.
David, can you hear what it sounds like? No.
Sounds like you're on helium.
Yeah, David, you should watch the recording of this so you can see what your voice sounds like. You're gonna love it.
You know, this has probably been happening at all your real estate meetings and no one told you.
Oh, now we've lost his visual too. That's too bad.
Probably had to go get some fruit and nuts to hide away in his little squirrel cave.
Would it help if I write up minutes? Miles, do you think that it would be worthwhile? Or is posting the video just as
I think posting the video is fine.
Okay,
I mean,
we'll stick with
I
that
imagine
then.
you're pretty busy, so.
I don't mind passing it on to the video, but if it would help people, I'm also happy to do my duty.
Yeah, I think the video is fine for now. If the meetings start getting to be 2 hours long or longer, then maybe we can summarize.
Okay, well, our next meeting is on December the 8th. And if there's no more input, then we can adjourn if that's agreeable to everyone. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up.
I'm gonna send an email to Brian Martin right now, just to make sure he's on for December. We can get the agenda out a week ahead of time instead of last minute. Like, yeah, that was my fault, by the way.
Okay.
Erin was all over it and I just missed it. All right,
Okay.
I'm gonna stop the video.
Okay, we are done.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.